AWS Community Day Vancouver presents the GenAI Q&A Vibe Lounge, hosted by Krug.
Hey, what's up, Internet? It's Kris Krug. We're settling into the afternoon here at AWS Community Days, and Mark Gamble just came off stage. Mark's from Couchbase, and man, you are a bit of a journeyman these days. I do a lot of research on my guests, and you publish a lot of talks and Zooms and a lot of kind of thought leadership in this area.
Thanks for saying so, Kris. Yeah, I do manage to get around. I was thinking the last time I gave this talk was at another AWS Community Day in Chicago.
What talk did you give today?
It was all about edge computing and its impact essentially on making applications more resilient, faster by eliminating internet dependencies. And so the talk was all around actually latency tests that we did with AWS Snowball on Starlink on the Starlink network.
Wow.
So it was kind of cool stuff.
Hey, so I'm familiar with Edge from like CDNs, like content distribution networks, where you move the data closer to the people that reduce latency on download times or whatever.
That's it.
But you're talking about moving compute to the edge?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Essentially, if you ask 10 different people what's edge computing, you'll get 10 different answers, but they're all right.
I had a feeling you were talking about moving processing to the edge, though, because that's new, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, moving data processing, moving AI processing as much as possible to the near side of the network is how you can eliminate dependencies on that network.
Like what kind of dependencies? I want to talk about moving AI to the edge inside.
Sure.
So what kind of dependencies can you eliminate?
Essentially, you can eliminate those. Have you ever been somewhere where you have poor connectivity?
Sure, of course.
And you're trying to get that Uber, or you're trying to just hit send on that email.
I see that kind of dependencies.
And you see the spinning wheel, or try again later.
So we're talking network
connect.
Resources and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all really about just making sure that instead of leaving the computing and the AI processing, data processing on the far side of the network and trying to make the network less fallible, why don't you actually create a duplicate of that cloud environment, put it on the edge, and where applicable, even on device. And that's a nod towards our embedded database that can actually go as part of the code base running in a mobile application or IoT app, for example.
Okay, so when some people say on device, it means like running things on their phone, and that makes sense to me. But then you started talking about Internet of Things, and so talk to me about running AIs and database infrastructure on not phones, but in the world on.
Sure, I actually just wrote a paper on Edge AI and was in a mobile magazine interview on AI at the edge for IoT, and it's really about taking advantage of the Couchbase lightweight embeddable database that does go as part of the code base, but we're optimized for resource-constrained environments. Mobile's probably the number one edge device that we're actually put into applications, but we can run on single-board computers, Arduino devices, Raspberry Pi, exactly. So we've got a lot of customers that are in IoT that are actually running the database as well. But there's also an emerging set of lightweight LLMs and AI models that are coming to market. Well, llama.cpp.
I don't know if I want my toaster to talk back to me, though, man.
Well, interesting you say that. So we actually are running a demo at our booth downstairs of what do we mean by a local lightweight AI model and local lightweight data processing. So we have a tablet device with the Couchbase Lite database on it, which has vector search, and we're using it for image recognition. And the AI model that we're using is an embedded AI model from Apple called the Vision. The Vision framework, and it's all about being able to identify images, pull them into the foreground, embed them with vectors, and then from there, our embedded database can run a vector search. So you show it a grocery, let's say a bunch of grapes. Here, what's this? And the application say, those are grapes. They're $1.49 a pound. They're on aisle 7. All of these kind of applications can actually start to become real. So we're seeing a lot of interest in this notion of AI for image recognition and image-based search on the edge, where we don't have to actually go back to a model in the cloud.
Right.
So we're getting interest from healthcare. We're getting interest from defense and government, because not only are you running it without dependency on the internet, you're also running it air-gapped.
right?
from the cloud, and so thus you maintain and gain all of that
You might have
essential
just invented
security.
an awesome new word.
Gaintain.
I don't know, man.
I've had a couple of Red Bulls.
See if it's a Google whack or not. You know? I really appreciated Couchbase's support of the kind of Vancouver tech ecosystem. I know you guys have sponsored a hackathon recently. You're your sponsors again. How come you keep showing up in Vancouver?
I think it's just wide open. We've been having a lot of big success here, customer-wise, but also just getting support from the community, the AWS community, as well as just open source community. A lot of our underpinnings are open source based. So we want to invest. We want to go all in.
So we definitely have a strong and thriving grassroots open source community here. I think we got the Vancouver Linux users group just behind me or whatever, but I'm also interested if you're willing to say some other further reflections on like what you see going on in the kind of Vancouver tech ecosystem from a guy, you travel around, you go to conferences, you meet people, you do stuff.
Yeah.
What do you see here?
Well, let's see. I mean, essentially it's an international city. So we're kind of seeing, the gamut. Nothing comes to mind immediately per se, but I think it's just a level of talent that is here and in Canada in general, but for sure in Vancouver.
Well, you guys are definitely
amazing technical talent.
You're showing up in the right places, and we all appreciate the support of like the grassroots ecosystem, sponsoring hackathons, giving away credits so people can develop on your platform, mess around, learn the tool and stuff like that.
Indeed. Just last week we were also at another AWS event in Toronto, the AWS Summit.
Yep.
So we're all in with AWS and all in for Canada for sure.
Yeah, we got our Cloud Summit coming up next year during Web Summit. I'm sure we'll see you there.
Absolutely.
Sure Matt's probably hit you up to participate and stuff. And yeah. Hey, I love researching my guests who come on, and so I was watching your YouTube videos last night and heard you're from Berkeley, California.
That's right.
All right, man. I grew up in Sacramento, but I lived in Albany for a while.
Okay.
Berkeley. What does Everett and Jones mean to you?
It's my very favorite sauce in the whole world. And for those that don't know, Everett and Jones barbecue sauce.
Building.
It's the best absolute barbecue experience in the entire world. And it goes back to my childhood too. So it's an old
It's at the
place.
base of University Avenue, down by Solano, I think.
That's right. Yeah,
And
just before the freeway.
It's, the whole area has changed a lot,
Completely.
right? There's skyscrapers and tech companies, and it's fast and it's future. And there, you can smell it from a mile away. Is this from a different period, standalone house, shack, building, something like that? Everett and Jones barbecue.
It's an OG
and
barbecue
there's a big
place.
stack of oak out back, and there's smoke pouring down the street, man. And you get like a plate of meat, a piece of Wonder Bread, a couple of pickles, and it is the best.
That delicious sauce.
Yeah.
And they put the sauce in a jar, by the way, so you can buy it. I get it by the gallon.
All right. I'll have to take your address and phone number before you leave here today. What's it like down in California right now as it kind of comes to AI? As it's changing everything, and
certainly.
And where you live, I know you're not in Berkeley anymore. You're in Monterey now.
Monterey.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you're in Silicon Valley, San Francisco culture, And
Absolutely.
so we here, for those of us who can't always go, you're modeling the future in some ways. You're trying to. We don't have self-driving cars around here necessarily. You guys got self-driving cars.
That's true.
All the new cool stuff. Maybe you don't even realize that you're.
Sometimes we take it for granted.
Yeah, a real anomaly. But what's it like in California right now?
Yeah, it's real exciting. I mean, AI is, of course, all the rage. Everywhere you go to San Jose Airport, SFO, even the Monterey Airport, it's got big billboards. AI this, AI that.
Like all the companies are advertising in the airports, you mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. You see all of those billboards. What's interesting, though, is as a database that actually has been supporting AI for a while and now really supporting GenAI, we're seeing, of course, mad interest, just absolute myopic interest in this from our customer base. But a lot of times we'll have the conversation with the customer, what do you want to actually use it for? And it's kind of we're not sure yet kind of answer. It's so nascent and so cutting edge. All these enterprises know they've got to have it to engage better, but they're still trying to get their arms around exactly how to do it. So that's the exciting times for us to be able to build these examples like I talked about, we're showing down at our booth with image recognition. What do you mean by better engagement through AI? How about being able to offer a better and more contextual search by just simply holding up something in front of a camera? and get back all of the information that you might need. So we're building out a lot of those type of examples. So that's probably the biggest phenomenon I'm kind of noticing. Everybody's coming out with AI, and a lot of customers have yet to really understand exactly how they want to harness it.
Well, I want to speak to that a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I've noticed that as well with some of the generative AI workshops and trainings that I do. So I'll show someone, get them up on the tools, show them how I do it, get them messing around, and then they're like, okay, Kris, what should I put in the prompting box?
Right.
And I'm like, well, whatever you want. And they're like, no,
So
that's
true,
too
though,
much.
right?
I can't go there. I don't know what I want. And I imagine that maybe is sort of what you mean too, when you're like, now you can use these tools I've enabled you with to do anything you want. And they're like, well, what do I actually
What would I want to do? Exactly. Yeah. Well, the other thing, the phenomenon I'm noticing is that in a rush to try and harness these types of Gen AI, there's now also almost a little bit of a step back. Whoa, there's some serious security implications here. If we're feeding all of our proprietary information to a cloud model, for example, how can we guarantee that information, stays secure, or that information?
That's a great question.
Exactly, and so that's kind of where our story is. Why not bring it actually to the edge, where you can actually govern where the AI is actually being harnessed, where it's being processed, and mitigate some of those concerns.
Awesome, man.
And we're getting some attention for it.
Yeah, well, you have been getting a lot of attention. So I don't want to turn this into an ad, but I do want to say this. People seem to think your stuff is awesome. Why is Couchbase awesome?
Thanks for saying so. I really think it's because of our vision towards the future. We've always recognized kind of this need, not only for AI, but also for more reliable, faster apps. And our engineers have built out our edge infrastructure, edge topology, and our mobile capabilities since 2014. And there are some competitive, other database vendors out there who have not done so well with their mobile support, and they're sunsetting it.
Yeah.
We're all in on that as well.
Yeah.
So we become also the alternative to some of these other databases that can't do it anymore.
I wanted to double back on one more point, and I know I'm kind of crossing streams here because I'm going to be mixing philosophy with business a little bit.
Cool.
But on the topic of the enterprise getting these tools, and they're like, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with them or whatever. In my case, me teaching people some of these Gen AI techniques, and then being okay, like now what do I put in a box? I heard Sam Altman talk, it's got to be 3 or 4 months ago now, and he said yo guys, you've only seen this much of what I've given you so far. I've only shared this much of what I've built so far.
Yeah.
If I was to give you this much, everything wouldn't exactly be able to handle it right now because we're not asking ourselves questions. What do we want to do with this stuff?
Yeah.
What do we not want it to do? What are humans better at? How do we want to actually integrate this into our corp companies, lives, whatever, right? And so in some ways, by us sharing this stuff on the early end, we're facilitating conversations. People can develop a vocabulary and they can be a part of the leadership. The future isn't written. It depends how we use this stuff and how we interact with it, where we're ultimately going and stuff. And
Completely.
So it's a bit of an empowerment journey. You got to wrap your head around it, learn the tools, techniques, and lingo and stuff. And then maybe we're in for a smoother ride going forward in that case.
Indeed, yeah. We're definitely at the upswell, and inflection point, as they say. And I think that some things are going to fall out of favor as the reality starts to set in. But I think there's no turning back. And really, AI is going to power the future. My own personal feeling about AI is I love the concept of agents. I love the concept of harnessing AI to do tedious manual tasks. I am a marketer, but I, for example, will never let AI write my articles. I have a personal pride about that. All my articles are OI, organic intelligence.
All right. I've never heard that used live. I like it.
I sort of have, made that part of my persona. It's like, if I wrote it, it's going to take a little longer because I'm not going to use AI for it, but I'm really proud of what comes out. But AI is nonetheless transformative for other things like writing code or debugging code. These kind of things that I'm not good at and never want to actually pour through code.
I've smashed through all my personal technical ceilings using generative AI. It's turned me from a hacking scripter coder person, and I've built some software now. So it's like, let's go.
So cool.
Let's
exactly.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the things that really turned the lights on for me was not just ChatGPT and all that, but we actually embedded a coding assistant into our database as a service called Capella IQ. And I'm a marketer, but I show a lot of demos. When I realized all I have to do now is put a prompt in, write me a query that will do this. And it does all of the complex stuff for me.
Incredible.
And I hit run. And I'm just like, sold, this is the future for AI.
Awesome.
This is how I see it.
Well, tell me where we can find Couchbase and find yourself online, and give a little sign off to this camera here.
Yeah, we'll see at couchbase.com. Make sure and also hit us up on Discord. There's a Couchbase channel for all you developers out there. And you can find lots of my stuff, just like Kris did, on the Couchbase YouTube channel. You can just look for my face is on usually the thumbnail on any of the ones
With
that I'm in.
some cool guy shades on.
That was the most fun part of today.
Cool. Hey, thanks a lot, man. It's been
Thanks
a pleasure
so much,
talking to you.
Kris.
Thank you for your
It's been a
time
great
and for your
pleasure.
support of the Vancouver tech ecosystem and many communities and stuff. This is Kris Krug signing off from AWS Community Days. Over and out for now.